Hello, everybody. This is Nicole Whitlock with eCom Sellers. This is the Print on Demand Challenge, day 31, 32. Day 32. So it is July the 2nd. I have to remember that. And we are going to go all the way to July the 31st. So at that point, it's going to really be like the 62nd, 61st day, 62nd day. I think it's 62nd day, 61st. Anyway, we're going to go all the way out until July the 31st. So today we are having a little bit of an extended session. We're going to talk about a couple of different things. And so I wanted to make sure we had a little extra time. In addition to that, of course, I've got stuff happening on my side. So I don't want to cheat you all out of anything. That's the reason why I did make it earlier. And so if you're not able to catch this, if you're catching the replay, it's okay. And if you have any questions, please feel free to schedule some time with me. So the first thing I wanted to go over was we previously talked about trademark, copyrights, intellectual property, and we kind of looked at what Canva had to say about, copywriting different things. So one of our team members went out and had an additional conversation with Canva, which is always good. And Canva, my interpretation of the long answer, and they gave them a long answer, was that when you go back and look at the Canva intellectual property. So let me just pull that up. What is this? Use terms, service, maybe terms of service. I don't want anybody to be afraid to use Canva, but I also want you to know that some of the platforms that you happen to be selling on actually have some features that you will be able to develop designs over there as well. So when we look at this, and this is something that I kind of shared with everybody at the beginning of our journey, Canva has been used by many print-on-demand designers. They will tell you that they have used Canva. And so there's a lot of words here. And so the person that she got the response from also, I don't know, maybe tried to summarize it. So here is my interpretation. You're always welcome to reach out to Canva to get some more information. But as far as using the product and selling products using Canva and your license, the answer based on the interpretation of my reading of their answer to her was that if you have a pro account and you choose a pro image of any type, then you can use the free images. But if it has a pro image, then you cannot use it. Now, I don't know that I fully understand, because it says it has stricter rules for pro content that applies. And so if you create a Canva design with both the free and the pro, then there's stricter rules. If you use the free, then you don't have any problems if you use the pro. So I think, they're making it very convoluted and not as straightforward for people to understand. So let me show you the difference between free and pro. And I'm going to start off with some basics. First of all, when you are if you're creating a t-shirt and it's just words, everything that is just words, text, is pretty much, there's no pro crown on it. So here is one that has the little pro crown on it. And so you have the right to use that, but in understanding, or at least reading their interpretation of what they told her, I can't sell products with that on it. Whereas this one has nothing. There's no crown on it. So it's free to use. So if I were to go over here and I were to find images, so let's say I find an image, this image right here, there's no crown on it. If I were to go find images of smoothies, this image has a pro crown on it. This one does not. This one has a pro crown on it. This one has a pro crown on it. Keep scrolling down. This one does not. So based on my interpretation, again, mine, of what they gave her, because they gave her an extremely long answer, if it doesn't have the pro crown on it, you can use it in your designs all you want to, or use it to sell products, or put it on your products that you happen to be selling. You can put it on your products that you happen to be selling. If you are not if it does have the pro on it, then there's some restrictions on what you can put it on. So can I use this image to create my listing? If I am going to use this as my listing, and we've talked about, I've done several examples of using this particular image on the listing, and this is probably not the right size, but that's okay. Just go with me for just a second. So can I use this on my listing of 2000 by 2000, and I bring in my, I don't know, we'll pretend that this is one of the products that I bring in. I bring in and I put my recipe card on top of it. Yes, I can use this all day on my Etsy listing all day long. But can I put this image on something that I plan on selling? This particular image in the background on something I plan on selling? The answer is it's going to be limited on what I can actually put it on. So I can't put it on like a picture wall art and sell the wall art. Okay, there's going to be some Canva restrictions. But the other one, there's no Canva restrictions. So you can use it for what you need to use it for as far as marketing. If I am going to create my recipe, again, this would be my recipe card, my fake recipe card. And so I take this, and this is my recipe card, and I download another one. And I got another recipe card that's over here in the corner. That's fine. I got 2 recipe cards. Fantastic. Works perfectly. But if I am going to actually sell the picture of this behind it, I cannot use it that way without going through Canva's long, detailed explanation of pro images. So pay attention as to whether or not there is a little pro crown at the bottom or not. And if there's not a pro crown, then you can use that particular thing. So if I go and based on what they wrote, and again, the answers are so challenging at times. So if this one has a pro crown and this one does not. So if I decide I want to superimpose this star onto a t-shirt, I can use it on a t-shirt because this doesn't have a pro image on it. But if and I'm going to sell that t-shirt. But if I decide that I want to, let me just see. There's another one that has a pro image. That makes sense. Get rid of this. Let's just see. I don't want the recent. Hold on. I have no idea why the fan is so loud now. It got really loud really fast. Those are stickers. So this has a pro crown, but I wouldn't put that on a t-shirt. So this, well, that's copyrighted because it's Instagram, so I can't use that. Let me just see. And you have to be careful what you put those on if it's copyrighted. So don't get yourself in trouble. Okay, here's some collections. All right, so these collections do not have a pro crown on them. So if I were going to create a t-shirt with maybe doctors or nurses on it, I shouldn't have any issues with selling the product with my t-shirt, my hat, my blanket, my whatever, with this particular image on it. So I wanted to point out where you see the little pro crown is helpful. The other thing is that majority of the time when you're selling some of these products, like you see t-shirts, and people sell a lot of t-shirts and they just have words on them. They don't have pictures, they don't have designs, they don't have anything significant. They just have words on them. So when you go over to text, there isn't any text that outside of the ones that are like already kind of designed there. But the other text that you choose, you can choose, this one is free, but I can choose this text and then I can go through the drop down. And these are all right now, as long as they don't have the little crown next to them, you can use that text on your shirt, on your blanket, on your socks, on your whatever, if it doesn't have the little crown on it. If it has the crown on it and you're putting it on a product to sell, then you're going to have some level of guidelines, additional guidelines that you have to follow for Canva. So I hope that that makes sense. I wanted to come back and address that only because it came up in a sidebar conversation that I was having with someone else. They got a response, one of our team members that's taken this course, they got a response from Canva because, again, their information is still in the license list that I previously sent you. So you can go back and reread it for yourself. You can keep digging into questions. But this is what I don't want you to do. You can research something to death to where you become paralyzed and you don't take any action. The goal is for you to take action. The goal is not for you to continue to research and 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 research to where you don't actually take any action, you don't make any progress in your business, and you don't grow anything. So don't let that stop you. If you have a question, get the answer to the question to the best of your knowledge, understanding, and ability. I'm not a lawyer, but I can tell you the fact that reading it and asking the question, the fact that you did ask additional questions, because I doubt that it's coming up in a court of law. I'm just like, I haven't heard of any Canva lawsuits at this point, but there may be a couple of them out there in the universe. I haven't heard of any. So don't do anything that you knowingly know is going to get you into trouble. Make wise choices and pay attention to what the guidelines are for the platform. Now, the thing I do want to point out is Canva is giving you some additional information. So if the free content comes from Pixbuy or the free content comes from Pixels, you do need to go and check and see what those guidelines are. And those are additional platforms where you can create designs or photos or whatever. And if they tell you it's coming from there, then again, you want to go look and see what those guidelines are for those two platforms. So give me some additional information so that you know what those guidelines are. Okay. So I hope that that is helpful. I hope that it doesn't cause you to take inaction. I do want you to gain some momentum in your business and to move things forward. So I'm going to move on from there. Okay. So we previously talked about trademarks. When you're at a place where you are ready to trademark, if you get to that place, you may not be there today, but at some point you might get there, depending on where you want to go with your business, where you see this business growing. It's always good to have a game plan or a strategy on what you plan on doing. So as I look at this, the trademark, you can trademark and brand your logo, your name for your store. And of course, I mentioned like go get all the social media assets. If you go through the process of trademarking, I will tell you that the trademark process takes a long time if you do it like through a regular trademark attorney. It can take 18 to 24 months, just telling you the truth. Now, once it's been registered and while the research is happening, you can use it. You can use your whatever it is, your name and or your logo, once it's been registered and submitted, received, whatever, processed by the trademark office. And then they're going to continue their search, and then they're going to come back and give you, I won't say it's called a free and clear, but they're going to give you hey, we've done the research and this is what we know, this is what we found, this is what we see. Okay. So if you want to expedite that process, I'm going to give you a fast track expedition of how you can get that done. I actually went through Amazon's IP Accelerator program. Their IP Accelerator program can actually fast track that and cut that time. My stuff was done, completely wrapped up, buttoned up, completely done in under 6 months. Like, I feel like I submitted my paperwork. The attorney did her piece. I think I heard from her like 6 or 8 weeks later. And then the next time I heard from her was another maybe 12 weeks later, maybe less than that. And I'd have to go back and get the specifics, but it was very fast. Whereas my business partner, one of my business partners, a couple of my business partners, they were very upset with me because they were like, how'd you get your trademark before we got ours? How'd you get your this before we even heard back? They said, we went through a trademark attorney. I'm like, there's something about the IP Accelerator program and process with Amazon that makes it go much faster. I don't know what it is. I'm not here to try and figure out what it is, but I just want you to know that if you have an account, rate her program. If you have an account, an Amazon seller account, then you can do a search for the Amazon IP Accelerator Brand Services and start the process, get started. And once you begin the process of getting started, they're going to connect you with some, you get to pick your attorney. I think I went with Idea Legal is who I went with. And what it did cost me roughly about, oh gosh, I'm going to get the numbers wrong, but only because I'm trying to think of it right now. I feel like, I know it was under $1,300. I feel like it was under $1,300. And you could probably get it for less than that because I think there was a difference in what I was filing. I think I filed for our name and then our name as a logo. And so I think those were the two things. And so I think if I just did it by itself, it was like $8.95. And this is all, over a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, maybe, versus just doing the name. So $8.95. And then it was extra for the extra stuff that I asked for. So it was either $1,300 or $1,400 is what I paid to get it done. But if you're an Amazon seller, that might help you get through the process. If you decide you want to trademark and then go down the path of copyright and all that other stuff, for whatever it is that you create, design, develop, you want to sell, you want to put on products, or if you want to secure your name and you see your product as something that's going to become a brand long term, and you're going to hopefully be approached by someone because you're going to get a boatload of sales that wants to buy your entire brand, lock, stock, and barrel, all your social media assets, your website, everything. So I think long term. I've told you to think long term, so that if at some point you develop something that's amazing and somebody wants to come and acquire it from you, you're ready to go. Okay. So that's one way to fast track that process. If you decide that you're going to go the regular route, whoops, didn't mean to do that. Share. If you want to go the regular route, that's fine. You can start the process. Some of it you can do on your own, but I would encourage you to get an attorney. You can do some preliminary searches on your own just to make sure you're not getting yourself in trouble. So if there is something that you want to put on a shirt, I would always encourage you to come check to make sure it's not trademarked or anything. If you're wanting to use it for your store, if you're wanting to use it for a brand name for whatever products you're going to sell on other platforms, I would come and do some preliminary research. And then as you're thinking long term, you're going to convert that into something that you own, then again, file something with the trademark office. So there are a few different places if you want to know what the process is. And the articles that I found were very helpful was, of course, the article from LegalZoom. HubSpot had a pretty good article, and then Forbes had a pretty good article. So we'll make sure, I think I've shared these links, but I'll go back and make sure that we share these links again, along with the links from yesterday's class. So then the next one is your Etsy store. So a couple of things. Your Etsy store name, whatever you have for your Etsy store name, it doesn't have to be anything that would create a boatload of stress for you or cause you anxiety. It can be very simplistic and very straightforward. I will give you a couple of tips. One, if you can incorporate what it is that you sell so that when people think of the name or feel the name, they can at least feel like, okay, maybe this is a shop, or this is a boutique, or this is a, pop-up, or whatever you want to call your name, put in your name. If you want to include your name as this is what you want to sell as your brand long-term, that's fine. But I always try to help people to think about what it is that they're selling. So we saw the Brooklyn candle, and then we saw the Brooklyn candle 3 something. I forget what the names were. And so the thing that you knew that they were selling was, at the end of the day, because of their name, you knew that they were selling candles. Okay. You need to decide what you think you're going to be known for or what you're going to be selling for your store. If you want to keep it generic in general, that's absolutely fine. But if you're wanting to actually expand your business into a specific niche or area, figure out how to incorporate that niche name or niche product or niche description or the alternative to that. So using your thesaurus and come up with a related word, similar word, or a different way to say the same thing, and incorporate that into your name of your store. Okay. Make sure your name is memorable. Make sure that it is unique. So go check to see if it's already in use. So check to see if it's already in use. Okay. Make sure that it is easy to say. So a name that rhymes with something is always going to be memorable. Um, let me see. I was going to say Billy's Balls, but that sounds really weird. I mean, because you got the B and the B, so then you're using that. Trying to think of so something funny, Tony's Baloney's. So if you were selling, I'm not going to say you're selling meat on Etsy, but you get the idea. So Tony's Baloney, that is a catchy name. It is easy to remember because you're going, oh, I want to buy some bologna. Oh, Tony sells bologna. So the names rhyme, something like that, or something that is catchy. So think of something that's memorable, something that's unique, something that's catchy. Make sure that it's easy to say. If you have something that is convoluted or people don't know how to pronounce it, then you're going to have a hard time making sure that your store is memorable. So Brooklyn Candle was easy to pronounce. Like Brooklyn, I thought of Brooklyn, New York. And there was definitely a play on words. Both of the two Brooklyn candle makers that we found. One was a soy candle maker. I forget what the other one was. But anyway, they were both soy candle makers. And they were both out of Brooklyn, New York. So, and they sold candles. So it's pretty straightforward. So if you want to use your city or you want to use the street and then whatever the product is, if you want to use your last name and the product is, that's fine, or a related product or something like that. And then you want to make sure, again, that it doesn't already exist. And update, if you need to, your Etsy store to reflect this new name that you're going with. Again, if you're thinking long-term, bigger picture, make sure that you incorporate into that bigger picture the research and analysis that you're going to do to see about trademarking it or copywriting, whatever you need to copyright if that becomes a thing. So what do you do if your store name is taken? You can contact Etsy if you actually have filed for your trademark, you own the intellectual property to it. You can contact Etsy, and then you can work with Etsy to try and recover that name. Now, don't be vindictive, don't be vicious, don't be mean, and go out there and find the store that is the most profitable. And then you discover that they never trademarked their name. And then you try to take the name because they've already driven the traffic. There are people that are vicious out there and that have done that. And I don't mean just on Etsy, like in general. So don't let somebody take your name. Okay? Go trademark it so it doesn't become a problem. That is a tip that I learned a long time ago from a girlfriend by the name of Charlotte. So don't let that happen to you, okay? Make sure that you're paying attention to what is happening out there in the universe. Okay, so with your Etsy store name, begin the process of working on your store and getting all of that set up. The next thing that I do want to cover is I'm going to cover some of the stuff that we talked about yesterday, which was beginning the process of figuring out your pricing, figuring out your pricing, the shipping, processing times, all of that. So let me see if I can pull up the right window. There we go. Okay. So there's a couple of different things. As you're going through this journey of doing print on demand, whatever your design is, that's extremely important. And hopefully it's something that resonates with your audience or that your audience will find potentially on their own. You do have to decide, like, okay, maybe I am using Printful. Maybe there's integration that's available with Printful to make sure my listings exist on Amazon and they exist on eBay. They exist on Etsy. They exist on, if you decide to open a Shopify store, they exist on Bonanza. They exist on Facebook Marketplace. They exist on Google Shopping. Like putting your listing a little bit of everywhere or recreating it on some of these platforms and using the integrations that are available to do that. Some of the tools will allow you to have multiple integrations going, and some of them may not allow you the opportunity to be able to have an integration and then add a second integration. So you need to check that out. I will tell you, like, if you have a Shopify store, Shopify will allow you to have multiple integrations. Like you can have an integration that's targeted for Walmart, one that's targeted for Amazon, one that's targeted for eBay. They will allow that, which is fantastic. So double check that to see if one, that's a feature within the tool itself that you want to integrate to your selling platform. And number two, that your selling platform will actually accept it as well. Okay, multiples. So how long does it take after you figure out what your options are? Then the next thing is, how long does it take to process, and your pricing. So pricing matters a whole lot, but we're going to talk about how long it takes. Every single one of the platforms that I mentioned before all have some level of a processing time. And you want to pay attention to that processing time, because if you don't, you're going to get into a situation where you're going to have people that want refunds, they want returns, they want their money back, and they're not willing to compromise, or not willing to be flexible. So paying attention to processing time is extremely important. That is where you're going to update your information on your platform. And I would pad that potentially by an extra day. Yeah, are some of the selling platforms going to take all the way up to the amount of time that they said? So are they going to take, if it says 2 to 5 days, they're going to take all the way up to 5 days? Maybe not. As you can see below in this example, we went to the help center for Printful, and Printful is telling you, look, 97% of our orders are shipped within 5 days. More than 50% of them are shipped in 3 days or less. So can it take the full 5 days? Yeah. Can it take beyond the 5 days? Maybe. That's the average. So that is 2 to 5 days. So on my selling platform, I might put that my processing time is 6 days, just so I don't get myself into trouble if I don't have a tracking number within 6 days. Now, could that potentially drive my customer off? Yes, it could. So paying attention to the processing time is always helpful. Is there another incentive that I could offer with my particular product that will allow my customer or drive my customer to be interested in going ahead and making the purchase? Maybe I could do a 2-for-1. I could do and then of course you raise the price. Buy one, get one free. Of course you raise the price. Maybe you sell it with another print-on-demand product. So maybe I get the hat and the t-shirt. Maybe I get the phone cover and the hoodie. So that if they really want both, they're like, oh, I love this matchy. I want this, I want these two products and I want them right now. That might be the incentive that causes the person to go, doesn't matter, I still want it. If it's going to take 6 processing days, and that's what it is. Okay. So pay attention to those types of opportunities where the enticement to get the thing is so much higher than the amount of time it takes for processing. Now, do I recommend you going with a print-on-demand supplier where the processing time is more than 6 days? Not really. I mean, 7 days might be the max. And know that there's going to be a direct impact on processing time when you get into Q4. It is inevitable. It is going to happen. So you can put into the description that, our average processing time is up to 5 days. So please allow an additional 2 days if needed to add the tracking number. You can add whatever you want to the listing so that your customers understand as you get closer to Q4. And typically around October, or maybe, mid-October or the end of October is when I start changing my listings to reflect the fact that there's going to be more processing time that's needed. I mean, that's just par for the course. It's every Q4 in most cases. If you're using a dropship supplier, if you're using a print-on-demand supplier, if you're using a fulfillment center, because they're getting so much more traffic from other sellers at the same time. So being mindful of the fact that things can take longer than they traditionally will. And then making that adjustment maybe around mid-January to the end of January to go back and reduce some days off of your processing time so that way your customers feel comfortable that, oh, okay, we're back on track. So, and then the last thing is also be mindful of the things that you're putting your design on. Sometimes your supplier might actually run out of some stuff. Like, your supplier might run out of t-shirts. Not that that's a common thing, but you get what I'm saying. And so if your supplier runs out of some stuff, that's completely outside of your control. Your job is to make sure that you're paying attention to paying attention and auditing to make sure your orders are going out, paying attention to any notices from your supplier that you're working with or whoever you have an integration with. Because if they run out of t-shirts, they got to get them from China. Like at the beginning of every year, there's the Chinese New Year that's roughly about February, and most of the Chinese shops are down, or manufacturing shops are down for at least 4 to 6 weeks. So they have to make sure that they've ordered enough inventory to get past the Chinese New Year. And you as a seller need to be mindful of that as well. It may behoove you, if you have a little bit of capital or a little bit of cash, in order to not have to deal with long processing times or potential delays or frustrations, it may behoove you to have a few samples on hand that you can ship yourself, just in case some stuff goes awry, especially if you end up having a hot selling item where you're selling like 30 of them a day, 50 of them a day, 100 of them a day. You might want to get smart and have a couple shipped to you just in case something goes wrong with your supplier, or have a backup. Number 3, have a backup plan for an alternate supplier that you're going to work with. Make sure that alternate supplier, you check their quality so you've gotten a sample so that you can check their quality. Okay, extremely important. Okay, so make that note and come back to that. Now, how do I get samples? Again, going back to Printful's help desk, they have in their back office a way for you to order samples. And so when you order product samples, you can get a 20% discount when you order those samples to test out the product and test your mock-up. So the monthly sample order growth grows with your store. So you can see that if I want to get a couple of samples, I can get 1 sample each month with a maximum of 5 samples per order. Okay. So if I've got a couple of different designs, I might get a sample here, there, and whatever. Then if I changed up the design a little bit, I might want to get another set of samples. If I, change the color, if I want to check what it looks like on a bigger size or a smaller size, I might order a couple more samples. So just make sure that if you reach out to them, that you explain why you need the additional samples and see if they can accommodate you, or you may have to order your own shirt. So one or the other, but you do have the ability to order samples. And if you have to order your own shirt, then you have to order your own shirt if you've already exceeded the samples. They also will tell you, like, this is, you can get additional sample orders when your monthly accumulated sales reach the following thresholds. So again, as you get more sales, they will allow you to get more samples. So make sure you're paying attention to your sales, which is something you should be doing anyway, and make sure that you're double checking, your shipping orders, that they're going out on autopilot, and that you are, if you're going to order some more samples, make sure you go ahead and get your additional samples for whatever it is that you're throwing up, the different designs. Don't miss that opportunity, because again, you may design something that's amazing and it's red, or it's, I don't know. Red has been known to bleed, okay, meaning it can go to other places depending on what ink they're using when they print it. So when I say that, I don't know if you've ever gotten a t-shirt, like if you got a white t-shirt and you had red letters on it, but then you had this funky red like fuzz around the letters themselves. That's whatever ink tool they're using to put those letters onto that shirt. That's that tool that's not able to handle that red, and so it just kind of lingers. It's like when you spray paint something and you have that fuzz around the outside of it. If you're using stencil, that's pretty much what that is. So depends on how they are putting together the product, how they're producing the product. So getting some samples will always be good for you to be able to know what to expect. The next thing is figuring out your pricing. So sometimes the pricing can be a little hectic, a little crazy, a little weird. Great thing about Printful, just to get you started on figuring out your pricing strategy, they have a calculator tool. Dun, dun, dun. And so using the calculator tool can help reduce your stress so that you can figure out what you're going to sell this thing for. So if a shirt costs me $10 to make, okay, using Printful, let's just say hypothetically, and minus, they have fees and all sorts of stuff. So let's say there's an additional $2 or $3 in fees and shipping and all that other stuff. So I might want to sell the shirt for $20. Then I have to figure out what my true profit is. You ultimately do want to make sure that you're profitable. You want to make sure you get a few dollars off of your product. In most cases, I like to try and get more than a few dollars. So bundles are the way to go for me, or offering multiples of the same product are the way to go for me. So looking at this profit calculator, getting started. Okay. So I see that I buy this shirt at $8.01. I sell it for $10.41. 10 of them are sold. My profit is $24. That is just pretty much straightforward math. That is ultimately what you're trying to get to try and make sure that you're profitable for whatever it is that you're selling. And in this example, they didn't do, it's a good job. You can see, like, if you're selling hats and t-shirts and hoodies and wall art and mugs, how your payout each month can be nice or it can be very little. Because as you see down here, you got the Printful fulfillment fees, and the Printful fees are $529.40. So my true profit is only $158.70. That's my true profit after the Printful fees. So this is the base price that I'm paying for this thing. So in order for me to maybe make some money off of it, depending on what type of t-shirt it is, I might sell it for $15.99. And then the hat, I don't know, I might sell that for $21.99, depending on what I'm doing to the hat. And the hoodie, I'm definitely not selling it for $22. Probably going to sell it for at least $40. $40. Ooh, okay. Got to put the dot in there, but it didn't take. Okay, so anyway. Then we have the wall art. I'm probably not selling the wall art for that. I'm at least going to sell it for $15.99. And then the mug, probably sell that for $12.59. So now as I go up, you'll notice that my Printful fulfillment fees stay the same, but my earnings go up because I made adjustments to my prices. So what I've taught my son is whatever the price of the item is, my goal is to try and sell it for double, if not triple, that base price. And that's doing easy math for him so that he doesn't have to think through, what am I going to list this for? What am I going to sell it for? So for the shirt, when I just did $15.99, that's almost double, because that would be $16.02. Okay. For the hat, that hat is quite expensive. So I might not go with Printful to sell hats. I might go with another supplier, but I'm going to check their quality first, just to make sure I'm not going to lose any money on the deal, because nobody wants to deal with returns. So I put $21.99, but I could go up to $25.99 for the hat. Okay. And then the hoodie was $17.13. So doubling that price would have been $34. I just went straight to $40. You can go to $35 if you want to, but I went straight to $40. In this example, again, quantity sold, it's just examples. And then as far as wall art is concerned, I definitely doubled the price, if not went up above that. And I have found, I kind of follow Walmart's pricing structure, and I secretly follow Walmart, similar to Walmart. Walmart ends most everything that they sell in 97, 99. Like if you go look at the price for different things, it's typically ending with a 7 or a 9, and every once in a while it'll be a 5. It is always an odd number. It's never an even number. It's rare to see things at Walmart that's like $16 even, unless it's on clearance. It's just rare. And then the mug, I'm selling this for $12.59. Should have just went ahead and went on up to $15. So in this example, if I double the price, then I know I still have to deal with Printful fees, and my profit there for the month, or for the week, is $570.20. So this calculator is always helpful. You can do a search for the calculator and the fees. so that you can understand it. And then there's also a video that's on this page, so you can keep the price in mind. But you can come and play with the calculator first before you get started. And whatever the calculator is here, there's the way that you figure out how much you're willing to sell this particular item. Try to cover or carry that similar frame of thought onto the other platforms that you happen to be selling on, so that way you are in a good place when it comes to profitability. You created a design, you use whatever tool you use to create it, or you did it from scratch. If that thing is hopping like mad and it's selling like crazy, you want to make money. So I want to encourage you to consider that. The other thing, because we are now entering the space of print on demand products, as of this, beginning of this week, I do want to challenge you all to create at least one 4th of July themed product. One, just one. And the reason I say one is because we know that, the red, white, and blue is going to go all the way into Labor Day. And this is an election year, so it's going to go all the way, well, local elections, it's going to go all the way to November. So your red, white, and blue product that you just put up, you create randomly, might actually get some traction because it is red, white, and blue. So I challenge you, whatever you decide to do, whether it is a scripture, whether it is a recipe on red, white, and blue paper, whether it is, whatever you want to do, put something with some red, white, and blue themed colors in it, so that way, and just leave it up and let's just see if it sells throughout this year. Or you can go to the Every Day is a Holiday list that's inside of the My eCom Planner, and pick a product, pick a holiday that is happening in that month for you to sell that product. So sorry, my alarm went off. It threw me off a little bit. Okay, so we went through a little bit of pricing. Again, I teach my son at least double the price. And then once you double the price, the thing that you'll have to do is each one of the platforms are going to have their additional fees. So you might just check to see if they have a calculator. If they don't have a calculator, you're going to have to manually calculate and then pay attention to their fees, their shipping, their taxes, all of that stuff. You have to pay attention to that. And again, these are only estimates. So the estimates can sometimes give you a good idea of whether or not you're going to make money. So I would definitely come and play with this tool, use it to your advantage. If you're planning on selling a lot of shirts, this is a good way to get to that place where you can go, okay, how much money could I make every single month? So if I sold one shirt every single day for the entire month of July, what does that look like? I can come in here and I could put 30, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to make, based on this model, I says I'll make $239.40. What if I got really good and I sold, 10 coffee mugs, 30 coffee mugs for the rest of this month? And so you can play with this and get some idea of how much money you would make in a month. And yes, you're going to have volume. It can't be anything small. So taking advantage of the holidays as they come up, or the different major events, is also helpful. Okay. So the tools that we looked at before for keyword research, let me go back for just a second. Going back to the list that we previously talked about. We looked at processing time, quality. The shipping will be part of the integration. So we'll come back and talk about shipping and ordering samples. We talked about that. We'll look at the quality as I get a couple of samples back, because I'm ordering some samples from Gelato. We're going to talk about that. I want to see what that looks like. Okay, so I do want to go back and talk about your images and your listings again. So give me just a second. I am going to stop showing my screen. I think I got to pull up my listing optimization tool, training, and quick listing. I already had it up. I have the song Gyra in my brain. So if I break out in a song, I'm sorry. That is not what I wanted. Give me just a second. I apologize. Okay. Okay, I think I got it now. No, I don't got it. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Now it's trying to respond. Okay, I'm back. I think. There we go. Pardon the little intermission there. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and talk about listing optimization. We have actually talked about listing optimization for a while now. I've talked about the keywords. I've talked about using eRank for your tags and using Google Trends, using the search engine boxes to do some level of research. But I'm going to give you some quick and dirty, simple things. And I believe that in the Etsy kind of seller's guide, they give you some quick and dirties. One, I always try to make sure, I don't care what platform I'm selling on, Amazon, eBay, Etsy, Shopify, it doesn't matter. I always try to make sure that some of the strongest keywords or the main keywords for that particular product are in the first 5 words of whatever the title or the description. That from the first 5 words, you can tell what it is I'm selling, what I'm offering you, what I'm giving you, what's included in here, or what it is that I'm selling at all. So if I'm doing a bundle, if I'm doing a t-shirt bundle, I can say unicorn t-shirt bundle. Okay. And our unicorn and hat t-shirt, unicorn t-shirt and hat bundle. You know that you're getting a unicorn t-shirt and hat bundle. It's pretty straightforward, it's pretty direct. There's nothing unique or special about it. Now, if it was like specially autographed by, I don't know, Sylvester Stallone, you might want to include that somewhere, that this is especially, and it might be considered memorabilia at that point because it's the fact that it's somebody famous. But if there's anything else that's inherently important about it, if unicorns are trending based on research, trending much better than Sylvester Stallone, then I'm still going to make sure unicorns are at the first 5 words of this journey. And if Sylvester Stallone is not trending as much as t-shirts and hats and unicorns, then I'm going to put him on the title, but I'm going to put him at the end maybe, or I'll put him in the description. More than likely, I'll put him in the title. There's a couple of other tools. I mean, there's eBay's title builder. That's a good tool that you can play around with. But I always find inspiration by going to my competitors' listing if I'm selling something similar related. And sometimes you will be the unicorn in the group. Like nobody else is selling what you're selling. And that's okay. That means you get to pave the way. You get to carve the way for whatever this thing is that you're selling if nobody else is doing it. So you can use tools from other platforms, especially free tools, especially if you have an account for those platforms. Title Builder is not a bad one. If you go look at Google Trends just to figure out which one is trending better as far as the first 5 to 6 words, and sometimes it's 7, but of the title, figure out which words are trending the best, and based on current and also based on historic. As we saw before, when I've done the exercise so many times, I'm not really sure which group I've not done it with, but when I think about either gray hair or dog leashes, like there's a trend for when people are looking for gray hair care color or gray hair products or whatever. There's a trend for when people are looking for dog leashes. There's a trend for potentially a trend. If it's pretty constant, that's fantastic. But if it's not pretty constant, there's like an ebb and flow. Like there might be a peak around the beginning of the summer and then it starts to taper off and then it might peak again, maybe right before the holidays when people like have to take a lot of pictures and then it will taper off again. So knowing when this thing is about to take off as far as sales, you want to be in front of that by several weeks have your listing ready to go, have your design ready to go, have your product already active so that you can be in front of the wave that's about to go up. That means increased searches and by default, potentially increased sales just before that thing is about to happen. So using a tool like Title Builder can help you maybe find the words using Google Trends, using just Google itself, the Google search box, going to Amazon and typing in the first couple of words. One of the strategies I showed you early on is typing in the first couple of words on Amazon, eBay, including Etsy. And you can even go to Walmart and Target and type in the first couple of words, just so you know what people are looking for. Also, using that tool, eRank, because eRank is tailored to Etsy. It is tailored to the categories for Etsy. It is tailored to the hashtags that people are using or the tags that people are using for Etsy. And so, again, that tool can actually be beneficial and helpful to you. So don't overlook the opportunity to use that tool. I always say that you should name your images, whatever it is that people are searching the most for, or whatever it is that makes you the unicorn, so that people will automatically find your product. Your avatar will find you. Okay. Your images do need to be polished. That's pretty straightforward. And you're creating your images in most cases inside of Canva or some other tool that's similar to Canva. If you don't want to use Canva, there's other tools like you can actually use Google Slides. You might not get the dimensions of 2000 by 2000, but it can exceed the 2000 on the height or width. So you could use Google Slides to create those cover photos or your listing photo. You could use Paint. You can use any of the other tools that we previously mentioned. So, creating that first cover photo is extremely important. Making sure, and this is all talking about your images and stuff like that, but making sure that you do some research on what the keywords are that people are looking for. And definitely, like, maybe search for your particular item or a related item or a complementary item. Search for it on eBay, search for it on Amazon, search for it on Target, search for it, Target, and search for it on Amazon and Google Shopping. And then pull up the first 5 listings and just do some quick analysis about the way that title looks for the first 5 images, first 5 listings, whatever they happen to be. They're all going to be different sellers. And, the description, so that you have, sorry. That's my alarm to say it's time to teach 6 o'clock class. Sorry. So that you have a guide for what to include in your listing. Just doing that by looking at the first 5 listings, you can build a template, especially if it's something that's going to be a repeat seller for you. If you're planning on selling t-shirts all the time and they're specific niche related t-shirts, or you're planning on selling hats, or you're planning on selling wall art, or you're planning on selling leggings or tennis shoes or watches or jewelry or phone case covers, and you want to pay attention to your competitors, you can build, and also that niche, you want to go ahead and maybe create a template around that so that it makes it much faster, long-term, bigger picture for you to create those listings. And a lot of the important keywords that are generic enough are already included in the template. And now you just have to add the unique things that people really care about. So the minions are coming out, right? They're yellow, they're weird looking, they talk funny, they're short, there's always some kind of butt joke in the middle of that. And the kids are going to love it. It's going to carry. Minions are going to be popular for back to school, Halloween, Christmas, Valentine's Day. It's just going to completely run the gamut. But maybe you do some phone case covers, not necessarily minions, but maybe you do some phone case covers where they're yellow and then there's a big eyeball, or they're yellow and there's a pair of glasses, or they're yellow, there's some level of yellow in it, and you get in the corner of something. So you don't get yourself in trouble from a trademark and licensing standpoint, but it is Minions themed. Now, as far as the tags are concerned, like, we know that people are going to be searching for Minions something. If you go and do phone case covers, like, you can include maybe I forget the names, Kevin and Dave. I think that's what their names are. For a couple of the minions, Kevin and Dave come to mind. Um, including their names, including a phrase or something in the tags, or the word minions in the tags, that's related. But you're not actually trademarking minions. It's not in the title. It's not in the description, but maybe the tag is what causes people to see it. And it's yellow and it's got an eyeball. So it makes people think of minions, but it's not exactly a minion piece of art. So you can get close. I think we saw the Top Gun one where the person was doing Top Gun, and I said, "Okay, what are you seeing here?" So they got the aviator glasses with 3 planes flying through each eyeball, and they had the striped lines as if it was the Air Force or the Navy. I can't remember which one. And they were selling T-shirts. And they had them in different colors. Like, that's a great idea. So they didn't put the necessary. I don't remember that they put the words um, Top Gun in the title description. They may have used the word Maverick, or they may have used the word Goose. I think they used the word Goose. So if you were thinking of the name of the characters that were in the movie, Goose was one of them. And when you pulled up or did a search on Goose and maybe planes, this shirt came up with the aviator glasses with the stripe and the planes flying through the glasses lens. So thinking about all of that, incorporate what you learn about whatever it is that you want to sell. If you're going after a theme or you're going after a niche, figure out, again, the first 5 words of that search, figure out what you're going to put in there. Don't get yourself in trouble from a trademark standpoint. Be inspired by your competitors' listings, always evaluating how you can improve your listing. Take advantage of templates. Use templates often to help you to be able to sell those products. And then last but not least, I think people are coming in. We're at the end of the class. Last but not least, use the tools that I mentioned before, which is the Google Slides, let me just pull this up. Use not Google Slides, use the Google Trends, use eRank if you didn't already get an eRank account, and use keywords everywhere. Install it. They had a specific search that's specific to Etsy. So use that. Like I said, don't copy someone else's title or listing. Don't include special characters. I would capitalize, because if you look at your competitors, they do capitalize the first word. Pay attention to the first 100 characters of whatever the title is that you're using. Cross-list your item onto some of the other platforms, especially that Top Gun shirt. Like, that shirt alone, people are going to visually see that. And even though they don't have Top Gun in the title, they don't have Maverick in the title, because they see that on Pinterest, they're going to immediately think of Top Gun, click on it, and potentially buy that. And it didn't even have Top Gun in it. Same thing with the minions, like going after some crazy yellow, design where there's one big eye, or yellow design where it's, I'm trying to think, maybe where it has Dave. Maybe Dave is in yellow words, Kevin is in yellow words, and maybe you just have like little miniature kids overalls in the image, and everything else, it's a yellow background. Like, it will make you think of the minions, but it's not the minions. So taking advantage of that and putting those types of images on, or putting your listing on Pinterest, it actually drives you some more traffic. And that's being very specific. And I think that's it. Like, when you are creating your listing, look for opportunities to use the video feature, where you can accent your specific image or product in different ways, showcase it in different ways by using that video creation feature. It doesn't have to be like you're actually, filming a video of your dog chasing a cat or anything like that. I'm talking about stills of your pictures, and using the mock-up options. When you create a listing and you're using the mock-ups, using the mock-up options as part of your stills, where you can flash through to each one of the products from different positions, different angles, different sizes, whatever. And I will tell you, I still chop off people's heads. So I'm not including any faces I don't care if the pictures are royalty free or not. I'm not including any pictures of faces in any of the stuff that I'm selling. I'll showcase the back of your head, your neck, your finger, whatever. Like I'm not your arm, but I'm not showing your face. I might even show the bottom of your chin or your bottom lip, but I'm not showing your face. So I hope this is helpful. I hope that all of these reminders, some of this stuff we've covered before, some of it is all just reminders, but I want to make sure you get on track with where you're going, get focused, buckle down, build that schedule that we previously talked about, and so that you can work on your game plan for your business. And so with that, if you don't know, we had class early. I sent out an email, and then I sent out another email to say class was early today. So this recording, I will ask Lyria to put this up before the 4th of July. So I'll see if we can get that put up pretty quickly so that you have it and you can come back and listen to it. With that, I am going to say, unless you have any questions, if you have questions, I'll open it up right now real quick to see if you have any questions. And if not, I am going to say goodbye for now. Goodbye, team. I think you're amazing. You got this. Let's do this. All right. I'll talk with you tomorrow at 6. Bye-bye.